Hey y'all, I'm Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher, and I love creating beautiful hand-stitched pieces. Welcome to the Pink Room, where I share my love of cross-stitch by showcasing projects I've completed in my quest to fill an antique cabinet my husband and I inherited from my in-laws. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Pink Room. I'm Emily, and I'm so glad that you are here today. We were having a humdinger of a morning here. So this morning I took Henry to camp. He has severe separation anxiety. And one of the things that we do to sort of help build his confidence, he's super attached to me. He loves my husband, but he's super attached to me. And so we take him to doggy day camp one day a week to just sort of give him some independence and prove like, hey, I'm going to take you someplace and then I'm going to pick you up. So I took him to doggy day camp and then I stopped and got a donut. I am like a toddler today, I guess. I have got sticky donut all over everything and I don't even know how I did it. That was problem number one. Problem number two is that I recorded, I got a new phone holder thingy majig so that I could record my videos top down. I was actually hoping that I was going to be able to record them front facing too, but that was a show. So this morning I had this conference call and they're going to talk for an hour. So I've got my stitching set up and I had uploaded both a YouTube short and an Instagram reel of me stitching, but in time lapse. And I created a poll and said, do you like this? Yes, show me more. No, it's not my jam. And people said, yeah, show me more. So I was like, okay, cool. I've got this call. I can use this time to stitch a little bit of grass on my current whip and I'll record the time lapse and then I can post it later. I recorded it in slow-mo. 30 minutes of slow-mo stitching. You have never watched anything more boring in your entire life. So that wasn't great. And then I get the camera all set up. Like I said, I was hoping I was going to be able to use it for front facing to hold the camera instead of my trusty yoga block and shelf. And I push record and I have a computer with a couple of notes on it so that I don't forget to tell you things. The computer volume was turned super high. So I push record and the computer goes bong. Like, oh God. We just tell it like it is around here. So welcome to all of you new people. Like I said, I'm Emily. I'm the Shady Grove Stitcher. I am not usually this discombobulated, but I'm just, I like to be honest about life and about stitching. And so I thought maybe you guys would get a kick out of how not well today happens to be going. I have a ton of new faces around here and just wanted to say how flattered I am that you guys are choosing to spend time with me. It really means so much. The comments you've left, the interactions we're having are what I was hoping for when I started a Flosstube channel, and I really super appreciate it. But you probably wouldn't be here without my friend Carrie of Red Velvet Quilts. And I thought maybe you guys might like a story about how Carrie and I met. So I'm a quilter I can do it. I'm probably not going to do it again. I've made a quilt for everybody in my life and I liked it. It doesn't put air in my lungs and it's expensive and it takes up a lot of space and a lot of time. And I just really prefer handwork. So I'm probably not going to be doing any quilting, but once upon a time I was doing it. And I don't remember if I found Carrie through my quilt guild or if it just happened that I found her online and somebody at guild knew her. But Carrie was friends with a shop owner locally. And I love the shop. And I was like, oh my God, I love that place. Oh my God, she does all their long arming. Oh, she does such fabulous work. And so I start sort of stalking her on Instagram and I was gobsmacked by the work that she does. I mean, she was long arming for Moda. And when I first started quilting, Moda was like the pinnacle. They were the top dog of every manufacturer. And so the fact that she was quilting for Moda, I thought was huge. And then she has these dogs. Okay, y'all, my husband and I, we don't have kids. We are all dogs all the time. we have had two dogs. Wait, time out, back up. Growing up, I always had cats. And I didn't know what it was like to have a dog. I'd had my cat for 18 years. She passed away, and I thought, I don't need another animal. I'm going to be just fine. Lies. I really kind of, when I was thinking about what I might get, I really wanted what I affectionately referred to as a little ugly dog. I'm just not one who's going to get like a poodle or a Maltipoo or something that would like go in your purse. I like it to be small like that, but anything that's really darling is not always my jam. I really prefer something that looks like it needs help. So if it's matted or it looks like it stuck its tongue in an electrical socket, like that's my guy. I really want kind of a Toto dog. And I went to my brother's house. Now, my siblings and I, we have same dad, different moms, and we're spaced really far apart. It's me, and then the next one is 11 years older than me, and then the next one is 11 years older than her, and then my oldest sister, I think, is 3 or 4 years older than my brother. But anyway, I was at my brother's house, and I never go to my brother's house, but he had invited me to dinner, and I went, and this little dog gets in my lap, and I was like, oh, I love you. I mean, I fell in love with this dog the minute he crawled in my lap. And I was never the same. Never the same. His name was Bo, and I never really understood the story. Apparently, I think the deal is an older lady wanted Bo, had Bo shipped here from Boston. So my husband and I joke, Bo from Boston. Had Bo shipped here from Boston, and then was ill in some manner and wasn't sure that she could care for him. So somehow he ends up at my brother's house, and my brother's like, I've already got kids and dogs and I don't need this thing. And I was like, oh, pick me, please pick me. I need a little ugly dog. This is a little ugly dog. It's a match made in heaven. Yes. But he has to like talk to this little old lady, right? And make sure that she's okay with him giving away her dog. So I had dinner with him one night, and then, a couple of days later, he was like, if you want this dog, come get it. And I did, and I loved him. So Bo and I fell in love the minute we met. I lost him last year. He was 15 years old. And so great life full of memories together. That's the story on Bo. Well, I'd had Bo for a while, and then I met my husband, and my husband was like, this dog of yours is nice and stuff, but do you think we could get something a little more manly? Okay, what do you want? So we worked with a couple of rescue groups. We had a lab for a little while, and the lab just needed way more space than we could offer him, and some other big dogs that he could kind of rough around with. But we ended up with a brindle boxer, and his name was Raylan. And Raylan passed away in 2020. Excuse me. So we had the two of them together for 7 years, 8 years, a long time. And our lives just revolved around these. Why did I even start telling you about dogs? I don't even know. Carrie. It was about Carrie. Okay, so my husband and I are obsessed with dogs. Stop that story. Let's move on. God. I need help, y'all. I need help. Okay, so Carrie, bless her heart, she had a dog named Zoe, and Zoe was her heart dog the same way that Bo was my heart dog. Whew, I'm gonna cry telling y'all about her dog. Zoe passed away unexpectedly, and it was just the saddest thing I'd ever seen in my whole entire life. And I just wanted to reach through my phone and give her a big hug, because there's just nothing that can replace that. Nothing. And so I kept stalking her because that was the only logical thing to do at that point. And her pack has grown, and she and I would DM her sometimes and comment on her posts, and then after a while my sister was like, okay, but are you really friends, or are you like make-believe friends? And I thought, I don't really know. So I just texted Carrie one day and I was like, are we real friends? So Carrie says we're real friends. I'm ecstatic. God. And the rest is history. That's it. But she has accomplished so much, both personally and professionally. And I say professionally because she has like a day job, but then she also has the red velvet quilts business. And she's just remarkable and so humble. Like, she would never be like, look at all the things that I've done. Look at all this amazing quilting. That's just not who she is. So I think that she's remarkable. She also makes me spend a lot of money. She panic texted me one day and was like, oh my God, there's a slot in this fabric club. You should email them and try to get in. And it worked. So she's got me in 2 fabric clubs. My point is, follow Carrie if you want to see really pretty quilting, really amazing stitch work, super adorable dogs, and you want to lose all your money. We are enablers, and we are kind of sort of sorry, but not really. So that's the story of Carrie. And she had a ton of followers just from her Instagram group that then carried over to her Flosstube. And then Carol, you know, if y'all are watching Carol, I don't know what rock you're living under, but Carol Saltbox Stitcher shouted Carrie out. Did I say Carrie? Did I say Carol? What are the words coming out of my mouth? Let me try again. Carol Saltbox Stitcher shouted out Carrie Red Velvet Quilts. There we go. I can talk. Hello. So she ended up with a ton of followers, and she very graciously mentioned me in her video, which I really super appreciated. So if you came through Carrie, that's how Carrie and I know each other. Although after this, she may not want to know me anymore. And I really just appreciate you being here, and look forward to our time together. While we are talking about Flosstubers, I also wanted to say a big thank you to Amy. So Amy's handle on both Instagram and YouTube is Renewing Stitches. She is also based here in Texas. She does a lot more Flosstube than she does Instagram, but her 2025 goal is to be Instagramming more. So we'll see how she does. I'm cheering her on. Her videos are really great. So she shouted me out. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate you so much. That was so sweet of you. And I encourage you all, if you're not currently watching her, to go give her a watch because she does some really exquisite stitching. Someone else I want to thank is Sara of Sara's Stitches. Sara is a Flosstuber who lives in Arkansas. She was one of the first folks to comment on my videos, and she's an absolute delight to watch. She published a whip parade earlier this year that I had so much fun seeing everything she's got in progress. I was laughing at her latest video because she was talking about me being a monogamous stitcher and how that makes my videos a little bit different. And I just really appreciated her encouragement. So thank you, Sara, for the shout out. I really appreciate it. I am going to be tuning in to you and all of your finishes because you've got some great ideas, and hopefully some of my followers will come and find you as well. The last time we met, I told you 3 things that had happened since the time prior to that. And so I just thought I'd try to continue that along. I don't feel like I watch a whole ton of TV. I know some people are talking about the shows they're watching and the other Flosstubers they're watching, which, by the way, now that I have started Flosstubing and so many of you have said, hey, I'm a Flosstuber and I have started watching you, I am not making great progress. My list is huge. There are so many that I want to watch. I'm watching more than ever. There are just not enough hours in the day. I'm not a huge TV person. I am a big book person. So I was working with a girl a couple of years ago, and she said she read something like 70 books that year. And I thought, how do you do that? And at the time, so she listens to audiobooks. That's the secret. That's the secret sauce, is audiobooks. And I just hadn't thought about it. So I've got Henry now, and Henry's a boxer. Henry has to be walked every day or he gets way too much energy and drives me bananas. So Henry and I walk usually 3 to 4 miles a day. I break it up into multiple rounds, but we usually walk 3 to 4 miles a day, and I like to have something to listen to. So I was listening to a lot of podcasts. Nothing wrong with podcasts. They are fantastic. If you're a quilter, Inappropriate Quilters podcast is hilarious. Highly recommend it. Excuse me. But then when this girl said that she listens to audiobooks, I started listening to audiobooks. I do it all through my library. They're all totally free, and now I'm hooked. So my goal, I think the first goal of my year was 50 books a year, and then I went to 55 books a year. And my goal this year is either 60 or 65. I don't even know. I keep it all in an app, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, fine. It's just sort of fun to have like an arbitrary number. My point, let's get back to it. My point is that I read a book called The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Top-notch book. If y'all are looking for something that's really good to read, I really enjoyed it. If you're an audiobook person, the narrator is fantastic, in my opinion. So highly recommend that. And it definitely made my top 3 list. My other thing is that I got some new filming equipment and I'm not using it. Isn't that special? So I got this weird little flexi arm thingy that you can mount your phone on. And what I was thinking is I have a lamp. That's what this is, a lamp. It's a swing arm lamp. And I was gonna clamp this to it so that I could point my camera at my face and then point it down. Okay, well, I can't point it at my face, but I can point it down. So you are on the yoga block for now, and then I'll put you on that little whippersnapper later to show you my top-down view of the thing that we're gonna finally start talking about when I stop jibber-jabbering. And I just think that that'll help facilitate filming. Last time I did a top-down view, I liked the top-down view because that way I'm not like, holding things up here in front of the camera. But I took a rolling cart to another room. I got out some wood clamps. It was an ordeal, and I thought, I can't do this. This is not sustainable. So I have this fun new toy. I'm excited to learn more about it and how to use it. That's my number 2. My number 3 is I was assaulted by an almond. So Thursday of now today is Wednesday, January 22nd. And I know what you're thinking, Emily, you're not releasing this till, when is that? January 29th? Because I record usually a week before I'm posting it for you guys. So Thursday prior to now, so right after I talked to you guys, I guess, I had a handful of almonds. They were a snack. They were delicious. And an hour or 2 after I'd had them, I coughed and some almond came out, and I was like, that's weird, gross, but weird. And I didn't really think anything of it. And then later I thought, gosh, my throat kind of hurts. So that was Thursday. Friday I woke up and I thought, oh no, I'm getting sick. Like my throat is swollen. This is a problem. Friday night into Saturday, I got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and I could barely swallow. It felt like I had swallowed razor blades, and I thought, this is the flu. The last time I had the flu, this is how it felt. I don't want the flu. This is bad news. The world is ending. I really had it together emotionally at that time, clearly. So I booked an appointment at Minute Clinic. I go, and this poor little lady, she's like, your throat's not swollen, it's not inflamed, it's not red, it's not anything. And she's trying so hard to not say, why are you here? And at the time, I didn't really think anything about the almond. So she tested me for strep. I don't have strep. She tested me for COVID. I don't have COVID. She says I don't have any of the flu symptoms. She's really sorry. Gargle with salt. Be on your merry way. Great. And then I spent the next few days coughing and hacking and making all sorts of really unattractive sounds that I don't recommend, for it to turn out that it really just was a piece of almond that either lodged itself in my throat or went down the wrong way, but sort of wreaked havoc in there for a week. And so now we're healing. Please come to me for life advice since I have it all together. Gosh. Who wants to talk about stitching? Should we do that? Maybe I can get that under control. Before we talk about the stitching, I want to talk to you about corn. I know I said that we're going to talk about the stitching, and we are, but I think it's important that you understand something about corn first. on such a roll today. Send help. So I live in Texas. I've always lived in Texas. My family's all born and raised here. I had never been to the Midwest at all. It was just sort of this gray area in the middle of the country. There wasn't a lot of reason for me to visit, and so I had never been. I joke that I imported my husband from Indiana. He's a Hoosier. And the first time we went up to visit in the summertime, he was talking about how it's fun to go in the summer, unlike the winter, because the corn is up. And I was like, what are these words you're using? The corn is up. And for those of you who are not familiar with corn, in the winter, there was a town and there was a lot of empty space with nothing happening. And then there was another town. That's how it goes up there. In the summertime, there was a town and then there was a lot of space full of corn and then another town. And the corn is tall. Like I knew that corn grew on stalks. I didn't have any idea. I had no frame of reference for how big corn is. So he and I were out running errands and there are these fields of corn and we're talking about corn and he says, have you ever seen the corn roots? And I was like, I've never seen corn, so how would I have seen corn roots? And he goes, you should go look at them. I'm like, what? So we pull over on the side of the road. I get out of the car. I run across the road to look at the roots of corn, which, by the way, if you've never done it, I highly recommend it. It's super weird. And then I had him take my picture in the corn because it seemed like a nice idea. So that was the point at which I thought corn was pretty neat. In my state, we grow cows. Cows and oil. That's really what we offer the most of. It's not as exciting to me as corn was. Corn was a bit of a novelty. So how does that bring us to stitching? Kathy with Hands On Design released Knee High, and it had already been out. It's not like it was a new release, but I thought, oh, I should get that and stitch that because it would be meaningful to him and it would be kind of fun because it would take my hobby and his heritage, something that's normal to him, whatever you call that, and put them together. And so I did, and I'm going to show you something that's falling apart. Please pardon me while I hold this in place. Okay. And you might be saying to yourself, hey, Emily, that doesn't look anything like Kathy's. I know. I'm so sorry about that. But let me switch to the top-down camera and talk to you about the changes I made, what I liked, what I didn't like, what worked well, and what I need to fix. Knee High calls for Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works thread on 32 count chocolate milk from Fabrics by Stephanie. For this particular piece, I used Kathy's DMC conversion, but also made a couple of adjustments. Speaking specifically to the stitched piece, I stitched this on 32 count limestone Lugana that I coffee tea dyed. I wanted this piece to have some character, and unfortunately the limestone Lugana is a little bit bright and flat, so I coffee tea dyed it using a tutorial from Priscilla and Chelsea of Stitching with the Housewives. If you follow their tutorial, I'll put it in the description box below. It's very easy. I don't think you'll be disappointed if it's something that you decide to give a try. I changed the colors of the medallion at the top for two reasons. Number one, we have more blue in our house. And number two, I felt like the yellow and orange, while it kind of mimicked the sun, and I liked that, I felt like it blended in a little bit too much, especially on my fabric. So I decided to switch it to blue, that way it would stand out. I also changed the flag. Kathy's flag is much more stylized, but I just really wanted a more traditional flag. I adjusted some of the letters. I finished this a long time ago, so I can't tell you why I changed the letters. I just know that they're a little bit different on my piece than they were in Kathy's pattern. Finally, I changed the color of the floss that's used on the hill. The called for floss is a bit brighter, so I stitched the brighter floss, I did the letters, and then when it was finished, I wasn't super pleased with it. So rather than rip out all of the green stitches, I thought,
hey, I know, I'll just stitch dark green on top of the light green. This was maybe the worst idea I've ever had. Trying to cram all of that floss through 32 count was a nightmare. And then to add insult to injury, the DMC dye lots were a little bit different. So the last couple of rows, I'm not sure if you can see it here, the last couple of rows are a different color green than the rest of the hill. This was not intentional. I bought the same color floss, they just don't match. As far as the washboard itself goes, after living with it for a while, I was a little bit disappointed in how the edge of the fabric bled into the color of the wood. There just wasn't a whole lot of separation there. So I started trying to think of how I might make adjustments. Through the magic of editing, I can show you a couple of adjustments I've made. Number one is I added my initials and the year I finished this piece. That's something I've picked up along the way on my stitching journey. I try to put my initials and the year I finish on every piece that I do, so I went back and added that here. Then I cut down the margins of the original fully finished piece, which allows you to see the washboard ripples in the back. Now, I'm not sure that this is the end of the line for this little guy. I may add some fabric behind here if I'm not in love with the ripples over time. I might add some trim, but for now, this at least feels like a step in the right direction.
I have tried to record an outro no less than 7 times already, and every time I can't get it together. So again, thanks for coming to the Pink Room. Thanks for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you leaving your likes and your comments. Your comments are so fun. This community is a blast. It really is. And if you are on the fence about starting your own Flosstube channel, I cannot recommend it enough. It's been a game changer. To me, the only thing better than stitching is more stitching. And Flosstube has definitely opened up that door for me, and I hope it does the same for you. I think I have said, but maybe I haven't, that I release videos every 2 weeks. So the next time I see you will be February 12th. And when we meet then, I'm going to talk to you about Country Cottage Needleworks Main Street. I had the harebrained idea to take all of the patterns in the series and stitch them together in one long row. It's huge. I don't know how I'm going to show it to you. I'll figure it out. I got a little time between now and then. So looking forward to sharing that. And until then, talk to you later. Love you. Bye.